from the Jurassic World Evolution trailer when it first came out.
Power.
Anyway, it's just such a wonderful, picturesque environment, and I like that they featured the dinosaurs before they featured the humans, so we remember that the dinosaurs are the very reason for this show.
Run! Run! Is the Parasaurolophus still there?
Then we get the very stark contrast of the dinosaurs just existing in their natural habitat, when there's no humans around and they're released to live as they've always been intended to live, free roaming, without cages, without boundaries. They're just totally peaceful. There's just total harmony. Even when predators are hunting, dinosaurs just go back to doing what they're naturally inclined to do. And then you have the contrast of humans in that environment running for their freaking lives. I love it. It's hilarious. And I like how we also, in the first episode, get to have Rexy on screen more. We get to see more of her behavior. The poor Parasaurolophus, I was like, what the frick is going on right now? Because when they're all running, I thought they were running from it, but apparently it was running from the T-Rex, and they saw it running, and they're like, oh crap, something's coming after it, let's run. And you can see how they kind of recreated the first scene from Jurassic Park. Not the first scene, but the first scene that we get to see the T-Rex in the wild hunting. It's so interesting, because remember, this T-Rex is that same T-Rex from the very first Jurassic Park movie. We call her Rexy. And you don't get to see any blood and gore, but it's very obvious that she kills the poor thing. You see its corpse after, you hear the bones crunching. But what I noticed is that unlike Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, this also takes a scene from the first Jurassic Park movie, but it doesn't do it exactly the same. Interesting, because I was wondering, did they really put thought into doing that, or was it just something that they just chose to do? Did they look at the first movie and decided that they were going to have her pull the prey off of the premises as opposed to eating it right there where she killed it? And then it clicked, and I'm like, I don't know if they actually thought this through or this was just a creative accident. But in the very first movie, Jurassic Park, when Rexy kills the Gallimimus, it's basically the same scene. Kids are all running for their lives, and there's a prey coming after them. The herd of Gallimimus were coming after them. Alan and the kids took shelter behind a log as the Gallimimus all fled, and then the T-Rex caught one of them. This one, just a lone Parasaurolophus, probably broken off from the herd, was running, and they went behind a log, and the T-Rex caught that. But instead of eating the Gallimimus on sight, she dragged it off. And the reason for that probably is because Rexy has been free. After the first Jurassic Park movie, this female T-Rex has been on her own, unless somebody else has some other information out there. But from my knowledge, from the very first park was closed down. The dinosaurs on Isla Nublar have been roaming free. This T-Rex specifically has been roaming free. So she's had to be on her own hunting other creatures before, not just other herbivores, but she's had to contend with other carnivores as well. Maybe at the time, because this was the first time in the first movie, this was the first time that Rexy had gotten out from her enclosure, the first time she's actually been free and feral. She was in her prime, she thought she was hot shit, everything, the world was her oyster. So when she killed this Gallimimus, she ate it where it was because she was like, I don't have to worry about anything. Psh, I'm the big predator, son. But her pulling away the prey tells me that she's lived long enough and had enough experience that if she kills something and it makes that distress cry as it's dying, or there's that big fight scuffle, that other predators are going to be attracted to that and come to the scene. She's probably learned that it's not safe to eat your food right where you killed it, because no other predators around on the island. And these predators are probably predators also that know Rexy, and they know when she's made a kill, just like vultures will follow certain animals that they know are about to hunt. hunt. Rexy knows that that Parasaurolophus making that cry and her roaring and all that noise is going to attract the other predators on the island. So what does she do? She takes the prey and pulls it off somewhere else away from where all that noise was, so that if other predators come, she can have time to eat her meal before she is challenged for it. And if these creators of the show actually thought through all of that, that was great attention to detail. My dogs will do the same thing. Like when you have a whole bunch of dogs, like if you get one puppy and they're used to eating at a certain place, you give them a treat and they're like, okay, I'll just eat it where it is. I'm so happy. I'm going to go over here on this mat. But if you have enough dogs, like you have a lot of dogs, especially if that puppy is not used to having other puppies around, you bring a new puppy into your home and that puppy's always bothering that larger one, the larger one's going to get wise. It's going to learn that I don't want to be bothered every time I get my treat. So I'm going to grab my treat that mommy gives me and go into the other room under the bed or somewhere else where this puppy won't find me, or I can be more protected. That comes with experience. So I thought that was really, really cool. I know probably nobody else noticed that or even wouldn't find it interesting enough to mention. I just thought it was interesting.
They're gone.
What do you mean they're gone? Bitch, one of them is dead. It's not like they held hands and walked off into the sunset. One of them got killed, bro. He's being dragged away. His soul is gone. Well, I guess in that light, yeah, whatever. The kids all go to Main Street to see if they can find a way to call for help to the mainland. Let people know that they're still there. There has to be a way. There in broad daylight, you can see the aftermath of the fight between the Indominus Rex, Rexy, and Blue, and the Mosasaurus. They even notice Indy, or pieces of her, floating around inside the Mosasaurus tank. You don't get to see it, but they say it. And I appreciate that. I honestly, when this was coming out and I knew it was going to be more towards kids, I was like, damn it, they're going to make it so dumb. But you don't have to see the gore because they describe it in a way that's not too graphic so kids can watch it, but the adults know exactly what's going on. And some people may not like that, but honestly, if I was listening to a creepypasta and there was no visuals, obviously, and I heard them saying, yeah, the Indominus Rex is dead now, that she's in the pool or what's left of her, my mind can already conjure what that means, what that would look like. They get busy trying to find a way to send out a signal or to send out a call to the mainland, and they see a cutout of Brooke, because remember, Brooke is a famous influencer, and we already know that's going to be useful later. And they kind of spoiled it in one of the trailers that they did for the new episodes because the T-Rex is running towards her and she's not in the slightest worried that she's going to get killed. So obviously they're going to use it as some sort of diversion.
And it works! Now I can document all the crazy stuff we've seen. Our rescue will be a Brooklyn exclusive. That'll get my follower count back up to where it belongs.
And that will help us how, exactly?
Most of them try to have fun and just chill out. I mean, I would at some point, but Darius is freaking out. Not in the panicky sense, but he's so focused on trying to help everyone that he can't even sit still to have fun.
I'm gonna eat you.
That's a Stegosaurus, Kenji.
You look like a plant. Nom, nom, yum.
And I like how realistic they make it because they're not too cartoony where they're not relatable. And that's appreciated. When they first came onto the scene, I was like, God damn it, these things, these freaking mannequin looking things are so freaking weird. But after you start to learn their personalities, Kenji, I love Kenji, even though he's annoying, you get to fall in love with them. Brooke, I like her too. I used to hate her. The other one, the one that looks like the bride of Chucky, I used to couldn't stand her either. But they all have their issues and they show you that even though they're supposedly the good guys, they're just human. It kind of puts me in mind of Land Before Time, because when you had Littlefoot and his friends, like Sarah was strong and pig-headed and bold, and she didn't want people to know how sensitive she was. Littlefoot was the one who was the leader, who was always trying to keep everyone together. The same dynamic that the Land Before Time guys had, I feel like that's the same dynamic that these guys have. Anyways, as they're chilling out, Kenji finds frozen pizza, which is food.
From the rock.
Ow!
I don't know why they didn't put two and two together, that when they felt the pizza, obviously it would have felt cold or it's stiff. You would have known that it was frozen when you picked it up, but whatever. Maybe their brain isn't working at 100%. Then we see some Consognathists, a group of them ganging up on the kids for their food, or for them, who knows. So these next-gen geniuses with brains working at half speed decide that they're going to throw every single one of those pizzas at the compies. Not just one or two, because that would get them off off anyway and get them fighting against each other. No, the entire stash. The only person who keeps his is Kenji. And honestly, this little section right here where they're all just letting loose and playing with each other, that was so cute and so relatable. Kenji's adorable. Meanwhile, Darius is so worried and so determined that it's impossible for him to sit down and stay still. He knows that the group is depending on him, and you can see that he's going through some survivor's guilt from letting down Ben, and possibly some guilt for, I guess, letting his father go.
Ben? Ben? I can't believe it. We thought we'd lost you.
Why? Because you let me go?
What? No, I tried.
Let me go, Darius!
No, I won't.
You promise?
Dad?
Obviously, this was all a nightmare, and Yaz tries to cheer Darius up, telling him that sometimes he just works too hard and he needs to have fun, and that's rich coming from her because she can give the advice, but she can't take it, and that's usually how humans are. When we're in our own heads, we need somebody else to pull us out. We can recognize it when we see it on someone else, but when we're in it, it's very hard for us to recognize it. After Yaz goes along with Darius to enjoy his version of fun, even though he's screaming at the top of his lungs with excitement in the dark where there are carnivorous dinosaurs around. Let's just ignore that for a second. And with a clear head, he gets some rest and figures out with a new perception what it is they're supposed to do. See, they found a manual of the park, and the park camouflages things. So wires are camouflaged in vines, and emergency beakers are camouflaged in trees that you have to open and find which one's the right one that has the emergency beacon for the mainland inside of it. Isn't that counterintuitive? Like, it just seems that if there's an emergency happening and people are panicking and they can't see a clear way to get to the emergency thing, why would you hide it in something that looks like a tree and then have several trees and it's in only one of those things? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But for the sake of this plot and them solving puzzles and whatnot, that's what they gotta do. What'd you guess? The only one of them that happens to have the emergency beacon in it to get to the mainland or to reach the mainland is the one that is missing. And then we find out that Rexy has been building a nest. Why? We don't know. And this is what's so interesting and exciting about this new season, because we get to learn new things about the dinosaurs. Why would Rexy be building a nest? Even Darius informed Kenji that this was probably new behavior. He even pointed out that Rexy never did this entire time she was inside of her enclosure or at the park. So why now? Why is she building a nest now? I'm guessing we'll get to that later. Well, Rexy brought this tree, or Faw's tree, as part of her nesting material, and which, you know, it has the beacon inside of it that they need to press, but Rexy's there, so they had to come up with a plan to divert Rexy's attention. Man, just seeing Rexy walk around like that is freaking scary, dude. Like, just, she's such a beautiful creature, but you know that if she sees you, she's gonna tear you in half. The others keep track of where Rexy is at all time using those little Triceratops walkie-talkies that they found at the campsite. Kenji and Darius get the go-ahead that Rexy is out looking for her next piece of nest material. So they head on in to try and activate the beacon. That little thing made all that noise. I know there are volume dials on the walkie-talkies, but that shit was obviously loud enough that Rexy should have heard it. Why the hell is she screaming? They were up there before when Rexy was walking back and forth. You know Rexy can't see you up there. Why are you screaming? Just put your head down and shut the fuck up. Over here being totally overdramatic. She can't see you. Furthermore, even if she could, she can't reach you. And of course, that little cutout of Brooke for her Brooklanders does come in handy. She uses it as a diversion, and it was very clear that that was what was going to happen, because let's face it, if the T-Rex is running at you like that, you're not going to be just sitting there with your fists all clenched saying, yeah, man, yeah, any moment now. Like, that's not realistic. The only reason I can figure that Rexy would be roaring after this point is because she knows that she heard something, and she's like, okay, just in case there's any other predators or people around who think you can screw with me, you best get going, because I'm still here, bitch. This is my territory. We see that at the end of the episode, the signal has been received. So So any moment now, someone should be coming to get them, right? I liked it. That was episode 1 of the 2nd season, and it was pretty good. They do the suspense very well in some cases, and it's not totally intolerable. If you're a young adult or an adult, you can enjoy this just as much as a kid probably would. I'm actually a few episodes in, but I wanted to give my first thoughts for the first episode for moving forward. We know that Ben's alive. Nobody actually dies in this. That would be a surprise for me if that actually did happen. But stay tuned for more Camp Cretaceous content, and we have so much to talk about. I think a lot of what they're showing here is going to be canon for the entire Jurassic Park franchise, so I don't know if they're going to tie this in with Dominion or if they planned on doing that already or what they're doing. But if they don't, and Camp Cretaceous continues, there's a chance that whatever happens in the subsequent movies will be tied into Camp Cretaceous later. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.